I'm live! Yet again, another Monday evening. Hey, this time I'm wearing my cowboy hat. I made it back from Buffalo. Yeah, those Yankees up there, let me come back. They probably chased me on back, but yeah, it was. I made it back. So happy to be back home. So happy to have another Monday evening with you guys. And with that in mind, let me start off with a big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love reality TV, love reality TV fans. I especially love you guys out here watching live and watching on replay. Both don't ever want to give short shrift to the folks watching on replay. I appreciate all of you guys. What a fun way to start the week. I always look forward to it. So thank you for that. If you haven't already done so, Big Brother USA starting up. It's just another month or two. Not a month. Getting close, a month and a half or so. It'll be here before you know it. So please consider subscribing to my channel, turning on notifications, and you can get one of those thumbs up down there. I don't know what that does for me, except it makes me feel cool. But yeah, please consider signing up for my channel because, as always, once we start the Big Brother season, we'll be talking about that, and who knows when I'll be dropping videos. We'll just do it as need be. And since we're still going to have live feeds down here, talking to you, Big Brother Canada, I'll still be covering all the overnight recaps. All right. That being said, I want to get right. Is there anything else going on? No, there's nothing else going on. I want to get right into it because otherwise we'll never finish this tonight's show up. I've got an incredible special guest with me. Oh, I'm so happy. This works out perfectly. We've got let's see. Well, let's see. Well, let me do this before I introduce our special guest. Let me go out here and just say hello to everyone because I almost forgot to do that. All right, let me see who all we've got out here, and then we'll move on to stage number 2. Stage right for stage 1, whatever it is. All right, Ryan 51. Ryan, welcome aboard. Hope you're doing fantastic. Amanda Lowe. Hey, Amanda, how are you? Colleen as well. And I see Angie Hung posted out there. Well, I'm glad you were out there. We'll post it, Angie. We may talk about that in a second. Chickadee Kinney as well. How are you doing? Mark Taylor, Marilyn Sutherland. I love seeing all these names out here. Mark Taylor. We'll talk about few reality here in a second, Mark. Let's see. Terry Thomas as well. Ed Brewer, Karen Berkey, Crosstrack 6. Hey, Crosstrack. Let's see. Jake the Horror Movie Geek. I saw a thing, the 200 scariest horror movies of all time. You know what number 1 was? Alien. I'm not sure I disagree with that. That scared me as a kid. All right, let's see. JP's out there as well. Desiree Watts. Karen, did I mention your name? If not, well, I always mention Karen. How are you? Carolyn Moser and Karen Hummer. Noah Lemon. Ma. Hey, Ma. How are you? Cindy Hire. Hey, Cindy. How are you as well? Andy W. And let's see. Who else do we have? Maybe Ken T. Didn't want to forget you, Ken. Or Laura Lewis. And Tina Harlan Sanset as well. If I pronounce that correctly. I'm trying. Carol Mosher. And I think that's about it. Oh, and Tracy Muckenfuss. Tracy, I don't ever want to forget you as well. And Lori Lyon. All right, we'll call that good right then. For those of you who come on a little bit later, welcome to y'all as well. But I hope y'all are doing great. Amanda Lowe is saying Cliff is in the diary room. Oh, that I should be so lucky to get to go back into that house and do just one more diary room. Well, hopefully it wouldn't be just one more diary room session. A few would be pretty cool, but that was so fun going in, doing that diary room and talking to the camera and never knowing whether they're going to ask you hard questions, easy camp questions. It's always a strange experience knowing that you could say whatever you want and the other knuckleheads outside couldn't hear what you're saying. But all of America could hear you, so I was always still careful as well. But yeah, I'm in the diary room, pseudo kind of sort of type thing. All right. With all that being said, I do want to bring on my special guest because we got a lot to talk about. A lot of y'all already know her by name, and she's got more stories, more exciting life experiences and such. That's how I got on the game of Big Brother, saying I've been everywhere. I got all these crazy stories to tell. She could do the same thing and have a story for every night she's in the house. I don't know that she'd go in the Big Brother house, but if she could, she'd do it. Without further ado, I just want to welcome a true friend from Calgary, Canada, Angie Hung. All right, Angie, let me pull you up there. I should have had my mouse a little bit ready. And there we are. Oh,
Hey, hey, Cliff.
repping Alberta and Calgary already, aren't you?
It's kind of funny because I only wear this during the Calgary Stampede, but I thought I'd wear it at least briefly, but I'm going to take it off pretty soon. So,
All right. Well, you look pretty good in it. I
oh, thank
gotta
you.
say, and before we ever met, I'd been to Calgary quite a few times because, for those of you who don't know, Alberta is kind of the oil producing area, one of the big oil producing areas in Canada, very much like Texas. And so there's a lot of those planes are kept busy with the oil men back and forth. And so I'd been to Calgary a lot of times, but didn't get to meet you until after the show itself. But I am so happy you got to join me. I know you do 101 different activities on Monday night, primarily gymnastics right now, but
Yep.
you always got something going on. So thank you for giving us a Monday night so we can talk about the life that is Angie Hung.
All right. Thanks so much, Cliff. It's awesome to be here. And as you mentioned, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's been about 5 years now since we've met, or close to it. Maybe not quite 4.5 years. Is that?
Yeah, I think it was 2019, right? In October.
Yeah, I think so. About October or so. Maybe a little. Maybe it was even into November a little bit. But we met at Cowboys, which is a huge nightclub. I guess, is it still up there?
It is still, and it's still in Calgary, and it's very active, especially during Calgary Stampede.
Okay, yeah, it's right there at the Stampede grounds and all of that. But we got contacted, and I say we, myself and Nicole and Kat. Cowboys contacted us and said, "Hey, would y'all like to maybe come up here and do a little meet and greet, and we'll cover your airfare to get up there and things like that, and give you a free meal and a few things like that. Would you like to come up here?" And we said, "Of course, we'd love to." Well, the first problem we had, I don't know if you ever do this, Angie, but originally it was going to be just Nicole and myself on one weekend, and Robin Cass was going to be up there as well. And I thought that sounded fantastic. But then Nicole has never been outside the country, so she didn't have a passport. And so she wasn't able to go to Canada, so we had to put it off. They came back to us and said, "Okay, if you can't do this weekend, why don't you come a month later, and we'll bring Kat in as well, and the three of y'all can show up." And so that's what worked out. Nicole rushed around, got a passport, her first ever trip to Canada, to anywhere outside the U.S. And while we were there, it was so loud I couldn't hear a thing. But Angie came up. I think you had already reached out to us and said you were going to be there at some point, because I feel like I already had met you a little, or talked to you at least a little bit, perhaps.
No, Cliff. So number one, I normally don't even watch Big Brother, but I happened to watch your season and became a bigger fan of Big Brother. So I don't think I contacted anyone, including Nicole. And then it was literally that night that I met you and Nicole and Kat. And really at the end of that night, I thought, oh, they're such nice people, too bad I'll never be able to talk to them again. And then, due to the internet, due to you and Nicole having shows, it was great.
It was so cool. Well, that makes me feel better, because I felt like maybe we talked a little beforehand, and it was so loud there, it was hard to communicate and everything. And so it just felt a little rushed. I would love to go back. I wish we'd known each other beforehand, just so we could have had a little bit more time outside just the sounds of the disco and everything else that was going on there.
Well, what's interesting is that somewhere I have video of you and Nicole doing the DJ booth afterwards.
Okay.
So after you did the meet and greet, you went up and I took video, and I cannot find it. I think it's on my old phone somewhere, but I wish I could fetch it out again. Because again, I was like just taking video of the whole thing, thinking again, they were nice people, but I'm never going to talk to them again. And then,
well, I'm glad we got the chance. My favorite part about Big Brother is the folks I got to meet because of the show. I mean, if it wasn't for Big Brother, you and I, our paths may have crossed up in Calgary, but I doubt we would have had opportunities to really meet and get to be friends. And now that we've done it, so much cool stuff you've done. I think my mom is out here. I don't know if she's in a position where she could actually post, but every time you come up with some different story, my mom is the one that is just intrigued by the life that you've lived, Angie, because I may tell a few stories here and there when I go up to visit my mom as well. So she She's one of your biggest fans, myself as well. But my mom says, "Hey," also.
I,
So,
sorry, hey Sue, right?
no,
I just want to make
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Hey Sue, wherever you are, hi.
So let's see, what do we have going on? First of all, you do gymnastics, right? That's what's your typical Monday. But before that, it
So
seemed like it
yeah,
was dance and a bunch of stuff.
yeah. So every Monday night, I have a gymnastics workout with Kyle Schufelt. He is Canadian. He won an Olympic gold medal in tumbling, so like gymnastics. In
Okay.
2004, you can Google his finishing routine, and he decided to start his own gym. And that's what I do every Monday night. It's one of the best exercise regiments that I've ever gotten myself into. I've been doing it for over 10 years. So you know
Wow.
how you and I were active in running and trying to
Yeah.
get that? Yeah, you know how that kind of stopped, I think? I don't
Yeah.
know. But I've never stopped with gymnastics because he's really good at challenging us, but not to the point where it gets overly burdensome or whatever the word is.
So do you
And
do
then
all the different routines and stuff?
So yeah, Cliff, it's actually open to any adults, and you don't have to have prior experience in gymnastics, but you use gymnastics experience to work on skills. So we do things like handstands, and he'll help us do like tumbling and tricks and things like that. But also it's just like we do cardio, we do muscle work, etc. And to answer your previous question, yes, I danced in hip hop groups and Bollywood groups and jazz groups for about 15 years, but I stopped, I'd say about 2017, just because I got into other things.
That's pretty cool. I actually did gymnastics for about 1 year when I was 5th grade, I think 6th grade.
Oh,
I did it during football off season because I played football down here, and my brother and I signed up thinking, what a great way to develop a little more agility and stay in shape and all that. But to do a little gymnastics. I don't remember that we were that good. I think the two things I learned during my short year of gymnastics was one, learning to walk on my hands, which I actually could do okay, and two was how much fun it was to go jump in the foam pit when you did the vault. We couldn't do the vault. We would just kind of jump off the thing and fall into the pit, and thought that was hilarious.
Trust me, as adults, we never get tired of jumping into the foam pit and getting out of it. But yeah, we still do that.
That's fine. All right, a couple of questions for you, Angie. We're going to try to handle as much questions as we can. We could talk for a couple hours, so we'll split between the two.
Yep.
JP, and I understand that JP may have a little connection to you at some point, saying, Angie, tonight not the night to wear your Megatron mask.
Oh,
all right. What's the story behind that?
Well, so me and JP are friends as well, and I'll give an interesting story. So before I even knew who JP was, he had actually met my sister and my brother-in-law at a convention in New Jersey. I don't recall the exact year. I think it was 2017, but well before Big Brother. So I think that was pretty cool. And then obviously when Big Brother season 21 came and he came out as a Big Brother fan, and so did I, that's when we met online. So yes, I believe it was Chiller. JP, you can say that in the chat or not, but it's a I think TV series that were really popular in the 70s and 80s. So yeah, so my sister Winnie is married to Willie Ames, a former American Teen Idol, and who was in Charles in Charge and 8 is Enough.
8 is Enough.
Yeah.
With Dick Van Patten, I watched that religiously as a kid.
Yeah, he was the really, really curly haired guy back then. I mean, he doesn't have that type of hair now. So anyways, I thought it was really cool that JP has met my sister Winnie in person in New Jersey. And I've never met JP. So, and I think someone in the chat asked if, and I think they were joking, but just to answer the question, they said, is JP your husband, Angie? He is not. He's a friend. So I just wanted to make that clear. And then, yeah, me and JP love Transformers. So going back to the question you asked, we are huge Transformers fans. I'm probably even a bigger Transformers fan. My first crush was on a Transformer. So
it sounds like some kind of pun should be built into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's a question. When I met JP, because I talked to JP just online and all that, JP and his Jersey accent, I was like, oh my gosh, I never even thought of you having an accent. But you definitely can tell that JP's not from Texas. You, on the other hand, I don't pick up a lot of Canadian accent. Is it just because of all your acting and all of that? I don't really catch it the ways I do with some folks.
That is interesting. I've never been told I don't sound Canadian. In fact, when I meet friends who are overseas, like from Europe, the first thing they say is either "you sound so American, Angie," or Canadian, right? And I think from Canadian identity wise, I thought, oh no, I kind of sound American. I'm like, I don't know if that was a compliment to me or not, but that's very interesting. So Cliff,
as you talk now, I pick up a little bit more of it, but maybe it's just that I've spent enough time up there that it's not like I go to Scotland. I can barely understand the folks over there. In Canada, there's so much interaction from Alberta and Texas and all that. Maybe I just don't pick up on it. It just seems very standard to my ears.
It's funny because even talking to you now, you do sound like you're from my very limited knowledge, you do sound Texan. Yeah. Anyways.
Hey, I'm a Texan. There's no invariant. We own it. We own it and drive people crazy with it. Yeah, we're as braggadocious as they come. So I did, when I was trying out, say something about, that someone said something about my accent. I said, what accent? I don't have an accent. I'm just Cliff from Houston. And yeah, they thought that was, I think they knew better than that. All right, Miss Fire said has a question for you, Angie. And Karen Hummer as well. All right. Little reality TV. We got to talk about that. Now, I know you mentioned that you really hadn't watched Big Brother US that much until my and Nicole's season, and we got in there and all. And thank you for that. I appreciate it. Kind of my favorite season, but I know you hadn't really watched it before that. But Big Brother Canada, that's a little bit different story. Have you watched that for a while, or was it more so just recently after started watching here?
Yeah, correct. So my first season watching was actually the one where Steve Moses won. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. I had no idea about live feeds or anything. So when Big Brother 21 came, I thought, oh, okay, you know what? I'll watch it. And, if I get bored of it, whatever. But as I got more into it, a lot was being posted on, at the time, Twitter about what was being talked about backstage. And suddenly all the interactions that we don't get to see in the aired episodes, that gave a lot of insight into how people are portrayed in the episodes versus how they're being portrayed elsewhere. And the more I got into it, the more I kind of saw you and Nicole as underdogs, especially when that big alliance formed. And I admit I have a thing for underdogs. Right. So I want people to kind of come out on top after they've gone through some stuff that might not be as ideal to go through.
Right.
So after that, that's when I started watching Big Brother Canada.
Okay.
And I think someone, I don't know who, asked about whether I saw the latest season of Big Brother Canada, which I don't think you were able to see, Cliff, or just couldn't.
I watched a little bit, and then after that, I just kept up with the online recaps. It's just global TV just doesn't want us Americans to watch for some reason. So
yeah, I don't know why Canadians don't want Americans to watch, but I went into season 12 thinking, oh, good Lord, they have returnees, and up front, maybe not some of my favorite returnees. So I thought, oh, this is gonna suck. And I tend to like US over Canada because I think Canada does a lot of weird production twists and things like that to kind of insert things in. I just want to see things naturally happen. But I ended up really loving Bailey. So the whole time I'm seeing Anthony win, and he finally gets rid of Spicy V. And I actually started praying like, oh, I just wish someone who is a newbie on the show, someone who at least doesn't seem as arrogant. Again, whatever, it could be just edits. But anyways, I was actually a little bit emotional when Bailey ended up winning. When she was brought through to the finale by Anthony, because Anthony said, I don't know if you know this, Cliff, Anthony said, oh, I want to bring someone that I know I can beat. And I saw some not backstage, but I saw some footage from people who were there, like other like old contestants, and they were like, jaws dropped. So yeah, you know what? Like, I'm not a big Big Brother fan, but I like to watch shows that, even help me learn about myself.
Sure.
I.e., how am I judging that person that I see on screen? And I'm not interested in applying for Big Brother, but if I ever were on the show, would I also have that same type of reaction or interactions with people? Would I be able to kind of hold my tongue in when needed, which I don't think I will be able to. So I think that's another reason I can't go on Big Brother. I'm so honest and blunt with people. So like, if someone looks ugly in an outfit, I'll just like come out and say it. And then anyways.
Yeah, that may not work so well. I've always been a bit of a mediator. Everything I do in life and business and everything else, I'm one of those that tries to pull groups together and find common goals and objectives. And I think I probably played the game of Big Brother. As much as you go with a strategy and say, I'm going to do this, this, and this, your characteristics, they're hard to change. It's just tough to do. And I feel like in a lot of ways, maybe I was a little bit of a mediator, even while trying to break up that big alliance and doing things like that. But I try to see the best in people, which maybe at the end of my season wasn't for the best. I probably was too trusting and all that. But yeah, you've got to hold your tongue. There are times where I just wanted to just scream out loud at some of these people, but you can't do it at all. It's funny though, you mentioned Anthony because, and again, I didn't see much of the season. I'm just going off of what I've read and what you talk about and all. He seems to remind me a little bit of Paul from Paul's second season here in Big Brother Canada, which was season, I don't know, 18 or 19. I think 19 maybe, where he was a returning player. He came back pretty cocky, pretty comfortable that he was going to win when he got to the final two. And then it all shot down into flames and didn't happen. And yeah, it was tough. I don't know that much about Bailey. I saw the first couple episodes and she seemed nice. And I know she was a little bit of an underdog, it seemed like. And nothing against returning players. If I ever go back in the house, hopefully I can do all kinds of stuff. But having said that, I kind of think I'd be cheering for the underdogs as well and for the newbies, just because that's such a huge advantage when you come into the house like that. So good. So I'm glad you got the one that you wanted winning that thing.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
It was Big Brother Canada is a little bit different than USA. I feel like the prize is a whole lot cheaper. It's 100,000 versus $500,000 or now 750, I guess, here. But on the other hand, I feel like Big Brother production values, that house is just incredible. And the competitions are a little bit more, I feel like they spend a little bit more on the props and everything else. You're right. Twist wise, sometimes they maybe have a little heavy hand, but I like watching the cinematography, I guess, or just the sets and everything else seem pretty nice.
I like them and I totally get what you mean, but I'd rather wish they spend that money on, I have no idea, but letting Americans watch it, right? Live feeds, like just something that can kind of, that's the whole purpose of it, is to be seen and heard 24/7, no matter what it is. So
that's right. And I don't want to do anything illegal. If they would give me a feed that I could pay for, then I would pay for it. But that kind of forces to look on the dark side to try to find it. All right. Jake, the horror movie geek, is asking, Angie says, since you're a Transformer fan, did you ever watch Beast Wars? I did an interview with Gary Chalk, Optimus Prime.
Oh, sweet. So no, I don't think I ever watched Beast Wars. I mean, if it helps, I have a Transformer from Beast Wars. I have Megatron, when he was a dinosaur or something like that. So I am a G1, so that's Generation 1 fan, and that was the original series. So I didn't quite get into the Transformers, like in terms of like physicality when they were turned into animals. And actually what's cool about Gary Chalk, so I believe that, so my sister was on the ACTRA board. So that's the National Canadian Acting Board. And she worked a lot with Gary Chalk, who I believe voiced Optimus. So anyways, so hopefully that answers that question. But yeah, I do own the Beast Wars Megatron. He's a Tyrannosaurus Rex and he squirts water. Which is supposed to be venom, but yeah.
I picture coming over to your place someday, Angie, and walking in and seeing Transformers everywhere. And I know you're huge into these massive Lego builds and all of that. I've seen some of that.
So I have a guest room, and on one entire wall of the guest room is just a display of all these Transformers because I know where else to put them. So whenever people stay over at my house, they have no choice but to kind of look at all these beautiful, beautiful robots. So yeah.
See, you've got that. I want to build a room and just put all my Big Brother stuff. And I told Sharon, I said, I'm going to build my Big Brother altar. And she said, yeah, you're not doing that, Cliff. Yeah, you have a little shadow box. You're not setting up an altar of your Big Brother experience in this house. That ain't going to fly.
So what would you put in that room? Like your comic?
I've got my BB comic for certain. My Big Brother key, which I still have, which would be pretty neat. What else do I have? I've got some of the little bottles from OTEV that lists the competition I won, that Dark Forest. Some of the costumes that I have in my BB Comics costume. My Lederhosen from OTEV. Was it OTEV? No, from Slip and Slide. So I've got a few different costumes and things like that. And they did give us a cast photo, which was pretty cool, and everyone signed it and all that. So yeah,
I have an idea for that room. I would love you, like, when you won the battle back, it'd be kind of cool if you had a little monitor and it had you winning the battle back on repeat, and the guests would not be able to turn it off.
Yeah, I'm already too cocky. That's the last thing. I can see it now. 40 years from now, I'll be talking to my grandkids or something, and they're going to be saying, all he ever does is talk about some TV show from 50 years ago. So, well, yeah.
You know what?
That's not all I have to talk about.
Well, you're definitely still one of my favorite guests on Big Brother. And I always like to hear your stories about how you chose to wait in person, right? Wait in line, so that the producers could actually meet you. Because I agree. I think, we, as much as we would like to portray whatever side of us on a taped audition, I think you don't really get to know someone until you see them in person and see them interact with people. So I'm so glad you made it. So, yeah.
Well, I am too. I think some people do better with a static video where it's just them talking, and I don't know, maybe it creates a comfort factor for them. For me, it was all about in person because I gesture too much. I use my facial expressions too much, and I have to interact with the people I'm talking to. If I had not done a live in-person casting call, I don't think I would have. I don't know that I would have made it on there. It would have just been too tough. But now I know you don't want to do Big Brother. Would you do Amazing Race Canada?
Oh, so I have applied for Amazing Race Canada twice, didn't get in. So I'm a little bit you eked out by that. So I have not applied again. Yes, I would do Big Brother. Oh, I would do Amazing Race Canada, but only if they asked me. So I know this sounds so ridiculous, but I'm pursuing my acting career right now. Yeah. And it's because something that I love to do, even just auditioning where you're not even getting paid. I love to do it. So if one day my acting career took off, or I was able to be a voice for people like me, so a minority for people like me, and if ever they did ask me, then I would say yes. But Amazing Race Canada, yes. The Traders Canada for sure. And there was one more. I would actually consider The Circle. That's just because of what it is. And I have no idea whether I'd be fishing as someone else or playing myself. Maybe I would pretend to be Cliff Hog, right? And try to type everything where I think how Cliff would type it. And,
you would probably do better trying to play me than I would be trying to play you. I don't think I could catfish someone that show. I just don't think I'm that good. That would not be my top level skill, is trying to play someone else. And I know if I ever went on there, I'm sure that's what they'd want me to do. So who knows? But we'll see. All right, let's see what else we have on here. Chickadee Kennedy saying, Kenny saying, please fill us in where you've been traveling. Which is your favorite and any upcoming trips this year? You go all over the world, don't you, Angie?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate so I do have a full-time job. So I work for Calgary's municipal government. And even before the pandemic, a lot of my work was from home. So it's given me a lot of freedom. And so I do have enough time off to take off to travel. So yeah, I've been all over the world. So I have a lot of friends in Europe, and that's because I'm very active in the Spice Girls fandom. And it's just very interesting to even interact with people over there. They have a certain type of eloquence when they speak. So yeah, I was actually comparing the Traders US versus the Traders UK. And in the Traders UK, it's all like, non-celebrities. And just the way they talk, I wish I was as refined and classy as them. So yes, I've been all over the world, including Japan. I took a cruise from Australia through to Hawaii with some very good friends. Been all over Europe. Been to obviously many places in America and Canada. If I could name a place I have not been to yet, I can't. But I might as well share. I think I told you in my email, Cliff. I'll share some funny travel story.
Oh yeah, please.
So, I want to give a warning.
I was ask about one or two of those.
Yeah, so I'm going to give a warning up front. So the first travel story I'm going to share is actually what happened to me when me and my best friend Natalie, we went to Turks and Caicos. And just the women will really, really understand the story. So me and Natalie booked a little boat. It's a boat trip to a isolated island. And it was only supposed to be for 2 or 3 hours, kind of, right? And then supposed to come back to the main island. Well, something went wrong with the boat, and we ended up being stuck on that island for 5 additional hours. So like about 7 or 8. So here's the problem. It was, and I'm going to try to be as delicate as I can, Cliff, but I'm sure the women will really relate to this. It just happened to me my time of the month, and I had no extra protection with me. So we're stranded on an island, and I'm in my swimsuit, and suddenly I'm realizing, oh no, something's happening, and I literally had no backup whatsoever. So so Natalie told me, okay, well, just tie a towel around your waist, and that might hide anything that might, that might color the sand into a different color. And then she also said, well, why don't you just go into the water? Because if you go into the water, it's not going to be messing the sand up quite so obviously. So, and then guess what Natalie says to me? She goes, oh, Angie, I'm going to go look for seashells. So here she is leaving me alone with a towel around my waist for no reason. So I step into the water, which is next to the boat that the men were trying to fix for us to go back. Then all of a sudden, the men, they look at me, they're like, oh no, get out of the water, because the boat was spilling oil, right? So, and that's why the boat was stuck where it was. They had an oil leak or something. So, and of course, like, I'm feeling really dumb already, standing by myself, wearing a towel around my waist for no reason. And, anyway, so they tell me to get out of the water. And then they say, you know what, if you really want to stand in the water, there's a party boat just right down the beach. You can go and stand closer to them. So Cliff, they told me to walk by myself with a towel around my waist and go stand by this big party boat with a lot of young partiers. So I'm like, okay, and I'm still trying to act normal. So I walk over to the party boat. I get in the water again. And the thing is, I have to go into the water because if I stayed out of the water, certain things would be happening that would be very obvious. So I step into the water, and then everyone in the party boat, there's like, get out of the water, there's sharks. So what I didn't know was that, I guess closer to where the party boat was, there was a lot of sharks. And I would assume that sharks are attracted to blood. So that was another really, really, really bad thing. So anyways, so I climbed out of that. My friend Natalie came back, and here I'm like, this is getting to be really bad, Cliff. So we ended up, why don't we just ask someone, like ask a lady to see if she has anything that she can lend me that I would need. So normally I'm not shy, Cliff, but I think just after everything has happened, I was like really scared to go to someone. So I was trying to look for some nice looking ladies to ask. And I finally see a pair of ladies. And I go to Natalie, I go, well, why don't we approach them? They look really nice. She gives me this look. She's like, Angie, they're 65 years old. They would not. So one thing I had completely forgotten is that women over a certain age would not need anything like that. But thankfully, I did find like a young girl, 18-year-old girl who was actually part of her boat, and she had some backup. And now I had to go change and use this backup. And the only boat I could go on was obviously the boat, our own boat, right? Our boat. So I go up to the bathroom in our boat. Now the thing is, the bathroom on our boat doesn't have a full door. So I don't know how, but the door, it closes, like there's privacy, but there's like a really, really, really big slit right in the middle. And that's also right where all the men are fixing the engine. So here I am, stuck in this very, very, very little, like literally only a toilet's there and that's it. And I'm trying to, use this new thing that my young lady friend gave me. And like when I say right outside the door, I had to be so careful what way I angled so that the men, if they ever did pass by that little slit, they wouldn't, So anyways, I mean, good story is that it did end up helping, and I was able to last the rest of the trip without needing a towel around my waist. So I hope
two comments for you on that one. First of all, I'm thinking you would absolutely hate the Big Brother house with one bathroom for 16 folks, and they're hanging outside on the couch the whole time for whatever reason. It used to drive me crazy that they did. I did the same thing, but only because I had to be there to talk to other folks. But I'm thinking that probably wouldn't be your favorite activity. And I'm thinking you would be right up there with Liz from this season of Survivor, maybe not necessarily being at one stuck out on an island for a month or so, having to go back to nature, so to speak.
Yeah, you know what though? I'm thinking at least in the Big Brother house, I wouldn't run out of any protection or anything like that. But yeah,
they had it taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I will say this: we were very grateful for Kat during our season because in her briefcase or suitcase, she brought in several bottles of poopery, which when 16 people are sharing a toilet, not a bad idea. She was very proactive on that. But Angie, I'll say it. I'm glad a shark didn't get you. I'm glad I'm not talking to Stumpy Hung or something right now. So
yeah, and then if I did get attacked by a shark, I didn't want people to find out why. Oh yes, I'm glad.
I'd say I empathize, but I'm not sure as a guy I can fully appreciate what y'all have to go through sometimes. But I'm glad I'm glad you figured it out, and maybe we'll just plan a trip to the UK instead of Turks and Caicos, and I can go hang out with some of your buddies like old Sir Tim Rice.
Yeah, well, that's a good transition. And although before I get into Tim, do you mind if I tell one really, really, really quick travel story?
Yeah, go for it.
Is that okay?
Go.
So
sure.
Actually, so my friends Natalie and Paul, like me and their husband, we went to Sydney, Australia for the cruise, but we were 5 days in Sydney. So we stayed in Sydney, and we decided one day to go to the Australia Zoo, which I think is near Brisbane. Anyways, we flew from Sydney to Brisbane, and on the same day, we're going to fly back. Our flight left like about 9 p.m. or something like that, but I don't know what kind of chaos is happening. So we finally boarded the plane at 11 p.m. thinking, okay, we're going to get back. The plane actually leaves the tarmac. So we're actually moving. And all of a sudden the plane announcer goes, oh, by the way, we'll have to go back into the tarmac here in Brisbane because the Sydney airport has a curfew. So, which I never knew. And obviously you can tell, like, we're all really, really tired by then. I don't think anyone really complained. So imagine our planes now going back so we never took off. Our planes going back to the tarmac in Brisbane. Well, the girl ahead of me, she had fallen asleep. So as soon as she boarded the plane, she had fallen asleep. So when she suddenly wakes up, to her at least, it looks like we're going, So out loud, she says to her boyfriend or something, but none of us were talking around her. So we all heard her say, she goes, oh, that was one of the quickest flights I've ever taken. I didn't even notice it. And the laughter that we all had when we realized that she didn't know that we had never even taken off. But anyways, that's my other travel story.
Oh, I wouldn't have told her. I would have let her get out the airport and see how long it took before she realized it. She was back.
But so yeah, on to Tim. I don't know if you wanted to go into that or.
All right. My mom is saying, even with all my stories at Cliff, you don't have a travel story to beat that shark story.
Yeah.
So there you go. You've already won the accolades from my mom, Angie. You win the evening with your travel story.
Thanks, Sue. I think that way, as a woman, I have an advantage of having to go through some things. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people are relating and understanding. So that's great. I mentioned Tim Rice a second ago, and I wanted to because it was so incredible. He is like my Shakespeare or something, because I was such a huge fan of Jesus Christ Superstar growing up, even to this day, just one of my all-time favorite musicals. And he was participated in so many of the Disney with he and Elton John and Evita, and just so many musicals that he has done. And I guess on one of my shows, I must have mentioned that. And lo and behold, here is Angie, who's like best buds with Tim Rice, has been to his house, hung with him and all of that. It's like touching the hand of God in some ways, Angie. I'm still amazed and impressed every time I think of that.
Yeah, like we met online in 1996, which is the very early days of the internet. And that's when Madonna's Evita was coming out. So at that time, like internet was early and all they had was like the online bulletin boards, like it's all text-based. And there was a person that would be making posts and signing his name as Tim Rice, just signing his signature as was everyone. And people started trolling him and making fun of him, saying, well, yeah, the real Tim Rice has a life. He wouldn't be going online to talk about Madonna's version of his own show. And suddenly one day he actually DM'd me on that bulletin board saying, hey, you know what? Hi, Angie. I've enjoyed your posts. Here's my office number at my house. And can you phone it, confirm for everyone on the bulletin board that I am who I say I am. Wow. So I did phone the phone number, but here's the thing, Cliff. Back then you couldn't Google what someone sounds like, right? So I phoned someone that was definitely a UK number and he sounded really smart and intelligent. Sounded like he could be a Tim Rice, but I didn't know. But then about a week after that, he goes, hey, Angie, I'm not going to go to the world premiere of Evita. So that's the one that Madonna's attending. Would you like to go in my place? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, to be upfront, we had to pay, like, I had to pay for my own flight to Los Angeles. And then I went with my cousin in Los Angeles, who I also stayed with. And so we're thinking, okay, so we get the tickets. And actually the tickets were mailed to my cousin's house by the vice president of Walt Disney Publicity. So we knew it was like a real thing. Wow. But when we look at our tickets, it goes, oh, okay, they're just like front row balcony seats. So we're thinking all the celebrities would be like on the floor, like as if an actual award show. Lo and behold, when we get off the shuttle from the hotel, number one, they tell us, oh, you're red carpet. And I'm like, whoa. So we didn't know that. We were not prepared to be red carpet. And also we're nobodies, right? So we get off the shuttle, all the, like, there's some fans in the audience and they're all like whispering to each other, like, who are they? Who are they? And I'm like, well, we're nobody, but I didn't, necessarily say that. And then I found out all the celebrities, including Madonna, were in the balcony and we got front row balcony. Right. So this is back in 1996. I think if I had done the same thing again, I would have done some kind of social media thing. So now when I found out that you were a fan of Tim Rice, I normally just email him. Right. So I emailed him and said, hey, I met someone on Big Brother US and he's a big fan of yours. Would you mind recording a birthday video message for Cliff? And I did a little bit about you and how I met you. Yeah. Now, in email, he usually takes about a week to reply. So I'm thinking, yeah, whatever. The very next day, on my personal cell phone, he had recorded the birthday message for you. So what I had forgotten was that his secretary had my personal cell phone. And I guess his secretary don't forget things like that. So that was, and he had actually sent it from his personal mobile as well, which I do have, but I don't really use, right, when I don't have it. And so, yeah, that's how that came about. So that's how that message came about. And I actually just spoke with him like last week because he toured the UK with My Life in Musicals. And I apologized to him saying, I can't afford to fly to London during this time. But I did have my friends in the UK who were there. So they were able to represent me and he tried to say hello to them. So that was really, really cool.
That is just incredible. When I got that video, I still have it. I watch it all the time. He's wearing a yellow hat and just the nicest, most regular sounding person while still sounding like someone that wrote such incredible musicals. If you can have both at the same time. But
so Cliff, I just want to say, if ever you're in the UK, me and you in the UK at the same time, so I always bring a guest over to his house, and he gives his guests a tour, and this is not like an office home now, his personal home. And I remember, so he gave a big tour of his personal home last time, and I could even see, like, I guess they don't have dryers in the UK. They just hang their clothes on like a rack, right? Like a drying rack. So like through the kitchen, I didn't say anything. I saw all his clothes there drying, and I'm like, oh my God, it just seems kind of intimate. But yeah, he's really, obviously really amazing. And I think our friendship has lasted just because I'm not in the singing industry, So I think he knows that, you know what, I'm just there because I don't benefit from our friendship, because I know he's been in situations where people have used him. So, and definitely I have no reason to use him. So,
well, I could talk forever and I won't do it. I just, growing up listening, thank you, Mom, for exposing me to Tim Rice's lyrics from Jesus Christ Superstar, because we listen to him all the time. And so there's, for a lot of reasons, I'm a huge fan. So someday I'd love to make it happen, Angie. That would be so much fun. For those of you who don't know, Angie actually sent me a DVD of Jesus Christ Superstar signed by Tim Rice, talking about something that's going to go on my little Big Brother altar. I'll have that in a special gold frame around there. That was pretty cool too. So I can't thank you enough for that. Again, you've done so many different things with that. You know Tim Rice. Your brother-in-law is Willie Ames. Who else? You've got a Hallmark movie where there's a character that's actually you, right?
Yeah. So long story short, my sister was a fan of Willie Ames when she was about 13 years old, and she wrote him a fan letter, and they just became pen pals, like sending letters in the mail. And in 2013, Willie said, well, he was a cruise director at the time. He goes, oh, my ship's going to come to Vancouver, Canada. Why don't we just meet up? And Cliff, they were just friends. But as soon as they saw each other in person, it was like immediate love. So they fell in love to the point where Oprah Winfrey, she has a show called Where Are They Now? Yeah. They did a special on Willie, like Willie Ames. They called it Willie and Winnie, just because of their love story in the WW. Yeah. So they're still married. So they got married in 2013. I mean, obviously he's not any type of teen idol now, but occasionally you'll get people who still, recognize them. You'll get a JP, checking him out like at a convention. So sorry. They wrote a Hallmark movie called Love in the Limelight. So you can Google it, Love in the Limelight, or look at IMDb. It is a true story about how they fell in love. And in it, so my sister's Chinese and Willie's Caucasian. And however, Hallmark said, well, due to inclusivity, they were forced to turn both characters into Latino, which is just very interesting. So I know. Yeah. So if you see it, you'll actually see two well-known, I think, Spanish actors playing Winnie and Willie. And then they turned the sibling of Winnie, which is me, into a boy. They turned him into, I don't know. So yeah, there is a character in a Hallmark movie that is based on me, but they actually turned it into a brother. And it's probably, I don't know what all the dynamics are of politics and how Hallmark approves its movies. Yeah. But there you go. So, and you know what's really, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just so you know, Sharon is saying she's already seen it. She knows exactly what movie you're talking about. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And so I'm glad for Willie. It's basically written by Willie, but it's based on their love story. I hope Sharon enjoyed it.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah.
And what
a Hallmark movie. Yeah.
Yeah. She watches all of them. So and Spice Girls as well. Were you the North American head of the fan club? Is that the right title or something like that?
Well, so in the Spice Girls heyday, I had a German friend, and he had started a Spice Girls forum, like an online internet fan forum. It's just before social media, so before Facebook. And it became so popular that the lawyers of even the Beckhams would check it out every day. And they would email the admin. So Dennis from Germany was the admin, along with myself from Canada and Mark from Amsterdam. So the three of us were the admins of the forum. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the fans knew that, but a lot of the fans didn't. So the Beckham lawyers, a lot of the fans would post like pictures of the Beckham's kids. And at that time, it wasn't well known that I think the middle child had some kind of, some kind of disease due to the light or something like that. Yeah. And I guess one of the pictures that one of the fans posted had either shown that or someone would have guessed. Yeah. So anyways, we get emails from the lawyers saying, we do love your forum, but we've been monitoring it. Can you remove this? Can you remove that? And it was more just to protect the families. But yeah, all the Spice Girls knew about it as well. So that was really cool. Yeah.
A little personal story of the Spice Girls, because I've been a fan of, because when was their heyday? 97, 98, somewhere around there when they were starting, maybe before that, but maybe that's when I became aware was right around that time. And the reason I say that, I was working the oil field. And I remember going to Bossier City, Louisiana to run a rig test. So we had a practice rig there and had all these engineers from all over the United States coming in to witness a product that we had created, invented, and tested out. And so I was responsible for setting up the camera that would record all of this test while it's all going on the rig floor. And I also, while I was setting up the camera, I also had back then it was just a boom box. I had a boom box, and I had a Spice Girls tape that I had brought with me from when I drove up to Louisiana from Houston. And so I put Spice, I don't even remember which one it was, but I remember playing Spice Girls over the boom box while everyone's witnessing this test and everything. And I still laugh about the fact that here's all these old burly oil field guys covered in grease and all of that, and they're all sitting there listening to Spice Girls, and I'm just loving life while I'm doing it.
Oh, that's so sweet. I mean, their music is so catchy and very well known. So
I listen to it all the time when I run. Now, as you said, I don't run as much as I used to. I need to pick that back up, but they always get me energized and energetic. So that's always good.
Sweet.
All right, let's see. There was something else. Oh, I almost forgot. Tim Rice is kind of one of my personal heroes and all of that. Yours, Kate Winslet, right? I mean, everything. I laugh every time I look through anything. It's all about Kate Winslet. And I feel so bad that one of the shows that out of principle I won't ever watch is Titanic. And yet that's one of her huge roles. I feel like I'm betraying Angie Hung by not watching.
Well, you know what? It's so funny you mentioned that, Cliff, because I think in one of your early Cliff Notes episodes, I think it was like about 4 or 5. And you had said, if one day I could get Kate Winslet to come to her house, then you would actually watch Titanic with us. So that is still on my to-do list. And you never know, right? With my streak so far. So yeah, thank you very much for bringing Kate Winslet up. I kind of rediscovered her. It was actually during the pandemic, but it had nothing to do with the pandemic. I had seen an LGBTQ movie with that she was in it called Ammonite. And I later watched YouTube videos about why she does what she does, why she loves acting, the hard work that she puts, like not just in that movie, but just in general. And thank goodness I watched those, because that's the kick in the ass that I needed to get back into acting. That's when I realized, oh my God, acting is really something that I love to get back into. And honestly, the reason I stopped is, acting is also a lot of rejection, right? Like even trying to go get an agent and not, I'm going to say it because I know Maud's in there as well, because Maud asked me, I think Maud asked me in a Cliff Notes Live many episodes ago about how to get an agent. And there's no way I can answer that in like a 2-sentence thing. But so my suggestion to Ma in terms of getting an acting agent is, so in Canada, it's ACTRA, and I believe in the US, it's SAG, Screen Actors Guild. Yeah. And usually every chapter, like whether it's within your state or city or in Canada or province, there's usually a chapter of that national board, and they usually have a list of agents that are legitimate, or at least people that they've kind of verified, but they're not actually promising it. So anyways, my suggestion to Ma is, if you're ever looking for an acting agent, is to go through SAG's chapter of Ma's state. I don't know, Cliff, where's Ma from? Do you know?
Ma, where are you at now? I tend not to ask too many questions that pinpoint people too closely, but yeah, I'm sure Ma could find wherever it is.
Yeah. So and another thing that I use is IMDb Pro. So if you sign up for
Virginia,
IMDb
she's saying. Okay.
Oh, Virginia. All right. So if there's a local chapter somewhere in Virginia. And another thing I do is that you have to pay money to be part of IMDb Pro, but as part of that, you can look up to see who are people's agents. Okay. So when I was starting out, I would look for shows that are shot in Calgary or Vancouver. And I would not look for the lead stars because they can come from anywhere. But if you look for anyone with like a one line in that movie or TV show, usually those are casted locally. And I'd find out who their agent are. So at least then I know that agent has access to legitimate breakdowns. So anyway, so yeah, I do. Sorry, to go back to Kate now. I just love the fact that someone that I haven't met yet has inspired me so much. Right. Kind of same thing how people, like I'm sure Cliff, you've inspired people to audition for Big Brother, right?
Yeah.
And no
Yeah.
matter who they are. So, and one thing I don't like is everyone says, oh, do what you're passionate about. But honestly, it's really hard to know what we're passionate about sometimes, especially in terms of, can you turn it into a career? So I just lucked out. So during the pandemic, I got a Calgary agent. And then 2 years ago, I got my Vancouver agent. The pandemic helped because all the acting classes that are well known in Vancouver went online. So I was able to also put a lot of experience into my resume because, yes, sometimes potential agents will see, have you been keeping up with your training? So schooling and education does matter, right? I mean, you can be a terrible actor, you can be a good actor, but if you don't even have training on your resume, regardless, acting classes, scene study classes, often they don't think that you're serious. And I happen to know a lot of well-known, well-established actors still take acting classes, just to kind of keep up their game or to learn certain things. So
I could see that. I wish there were Big Brother classes out there that I could have taken before I went on my show. Well, Angie, maybe I'll give Kate a call. We'll come up there and hang one of these days. I'm sure.
And we can watch Titanic together, Cliff. It won't be awkward at all. It's me making a joke.
If I'm sitting there watching with her, I'll watch it. And JP saying, "Don't spoil the ending for me." Ice, Ice Baby. I know all about it, even though I haven't watched it. I guess Kate Winslet. I mean, The Holiday we watch way too much. So
I love The Holiday. Yeah,
it's a perfect. I mean, it's romance. It's a little bit comedy and all that. We love that. But you know what movie she was in that really, from a personal standpoint, maybe where I became a bit of a fan, Contagion. All-time creepy movie. I mean, it's just it kind of gives you the shivers. If y'all haven't watched it, check out Contagion. But she plays a scientist, a United Nations. I don't know exactly what it is, but she's there on site trying to help these people, and a very serious role. There's no comedy to this at all. It was very serious, and that was an amazing film. And I thought she did fantastic with it as well.
And she made a joke about it because she's saying everyone during the pandemic would bring up Contagion, saying, "Oh, so you were in a movie that completely predicted what would happen." But
well, I really liked Contagion, but maybe not so much after we lived through COVID and all that, which I felt was just practice run for something like that. And then what was the other one? Outbreak, that had Dustin Hoffman. I was a sci-fi fan as a kid, so Andromeda Strain and The Stand by Stephen King. All of those played kind of movies always and all the zombies, George Romero and all that, they all intrigued me, but maybe not so much now after having gone through a year of being locked into this house. So, all right. With that being said, JP saying that, Angie, you have an amazing life, which I absolutely agree.
I know we're actually nearly out of town, but my friend just texted me. So she lives in the building where Only Murders in the Building is shot, and they're actually shooting a scene there next week. So she's like, Angie, get your ass over here to New York, but I can't. I'm just so busy right now. But obviously, if I go to New York, I'll visit people who are nearby New York, like New Jersey.
So here's the thing: when anyone's watching any show on TV, check the background, because Angie may be in a shot somewhere here or there. I've already watched. I can't remember what show it was. That I feel like was it you or was it your sister? I can't remember. Your mom?
It was probably 21 Jump Street, the original with Johnny Depp. And X-Files. So always a background in those. Like, to me, background is not acting. It's just you're getting paid to just to walk or whatever, right? So I'm not usually a fan of background work, but sometimes it is fun to do it and kind of experience what it's like to be on set, or for something like The Last of Us, which I actually turned down my agent. I said, I don't want to do background on The Last of Us, which I regret now, but because then I would have played a zombie.
I'd do it just to have fun. And going to a red carpet with Evita, I'll tell you this much, Angie, I wouldn't have told anyone I was a nobody. I would have said, "Oh, you know Evita's Groucho lover from the movie? Yeah, that's me. I'm the Groucho lover." I mean,
you're right, Cliff. I would have done it so differently. I was a lot shyer back then too. So I will make sure I phone you for advice before I ever go to another red carpet.
You better be letting me know. I'm gonna figure out how to sneak in that limo with you or something. But I was kind of no one believes it, but I was shy as a kid. And then something happened, And now I just don't give a dang anymore. And
Oh, that's awesome. You know what? Same with me. I didn't come out of my
changes.
shell until university. So,
well, Angie, unfortunately, we're gonna have to shut off because Angie told me before we came on, she's got a Vancouver versus Edmonton hockey game to watch right after this. So, us Texans maybe not quite. Well, I say not as much into hockey, but whoever wins, that's gonna be playing the Stars from Dallas. So, I guess we got some hockey down here as well.
Yeah, and I want to say sorry. I wasn't really able to read a lot of the comments because I was focusing on you, Cliff. So thanks everyone for commenting.
Thanks to all of y'all. And here's the thing: I knew we were going to run out of time. First of all, we may try to get you back on here again one of these days, Angie, because we could talk for another hour or two. But in the meanwhile, any questions? I know Angie's out on Instagram, as am I, and I think you're on Twitter also. So, man, DM us. We're always happy to talk, and y'all can tell we're talkers. So, yeah, shoot us some DMs. We'll always follow up with any questions that we couldn't get to or just missed, because there's only so many minutes an hour, right? 60, I think, is how that works. So, thank you, Angie. I appreciate it.
Thanks for entertaining me and letting me talk. I appreciate it.
I should have kept my mouth shut a little bit more because I know the stories that you got to tell. I'm just always intrigued. So with that, I'll finish with the big old SKD 143. Thank you all. As I mentioned in the beginning, please consider subscribing, turning on notifications. With Angie out here, it's probably a double thumbs up, right? Certainly a double for me, Angie. I appreciate everything. For those of you who aren't familiar, we didn't talk about tonight, but Survivor's finale is this week. Who knows? I'd be okay with anyone winning, except maybe Liz. Go get her a bourbon burger, and probably, I think she'll make it to the final three. Who wouldn't take her? Anyway, Survivor finale. We'll talk about that next Monday as well. But meanwhile, Angie, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And
thanks, Cliff.
Y'all have a great Monday. I'll be back next Monday. And I'll just throw it out there again, SKD 143. Guys, y'all have a great Monday. I will talk to y'all later. Thank you, my friends.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Cliff. Thanks, everyone.
My pleasure.